In an age where usually 200 cannot be enough in T20 cricket at times, we've seen a T20 international where both teams combined struggle to get to 200 runs in 40 overs of cricket. An unexpected humdinger in Lucknow, low scoring, India just getting over the line, chasing only 100 against New Zealand with 30 overs of spin bowled. We thought we'll see more of this next week onwards once the test season begins, but we've seen a bit of it in this second T20I, which sees India draw level in the three-match series against New Zealand. Welcome to ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. A good Sunday evening for Indian cricket on the whole because it began with the under-19 women's team creating their bit of history and lifting the inaugural under-19 Women's World Cup in South Africa. Wasim Jaffer here with us. Wasim, thank you for your time. A completely unexpected T20 international. You never think two teams will struggle to get to 100 each in their batting efforts. How do you explain that?
Well, I thought the wicket probably wasn't suited for a T20 game. You would expect a little batting friendly conditions. So I thought, probably a Sunday crowd in Lucknow expected a bit of a better batting display from both the teams. But I think the pitch has to be blamed a little bit. The ball spun even in the last game. It spun, and then even today. And this time round, I thought Hardik Pandya was spot on bowling the spinners a lot more, didn't use Arshdeep a lot. Only he bowled Yash Jha and Wasim Jaffer.
We seem to have some
The
trouble
crowd,
with Wasim's connection. We hope to have that back up. Yes, Wasim, if you can hear me,
yeah,
please go on.
yeah. I just feel that the wicket was a little bit, not really suited to T20. But in the end, I thought the crowd at least got to, see a thriller of a game, unexpected one. But they'll be happy that they at least got to see India win the game, and the series is still alive.
Yes, 30 overs of spin bowled in this game. To put that in perspective, there's only ever been one men's T20 international with more overs of spin, and that was a game between Cayman Islands and the USA back in 2019. So it really doesn't happen a lot. We got a sense this will happen, Wasim, because India named three spinners, three frontline spinners, and then bowled 4 overs of Deepak Hooda as well. So in that sense, some credit to India for reading the conditions right because you wouldn't have expected them to go as spin heavy.
I think so. They would have expected this pitch to turn. Obviously, you speak to the curators, and looking at the pitch, you get an idea. And like I've said even before in the preview or even in the last show, that whenever any Ranji game or first class game happens in Lucknow, you do get a lot of spin friendly conditions. The teams struggle to get to 120, 130. And I'm surprised that they did, serve the same kind of pitch for an international game. You expect a little bit better batting conditions and better batting pitch to see the fireworks from the batters. But like I said, at least they'll be happy that India got over the line and the series is alive and kicking.
Right, so on a day like this, Wasim, do we talk a lot about the spinners? Then, of course, their figures stand out. India's bowled 13 overs, took 4 for 55. New Zealand's spinners bowled 17 overs and didn't give a lot of runs really. But with so much in their favor, do we discount the spinners' bowling performances on an evening like this one?
Yeah, we do. Obviously, the spinners are generally, take a lot of hammering. But even then, even after 6 to 12, 13 overs or 14 overs, the spinners do dominate. The teams that generally do well in T20s are the period from overs number 7 to probably 14 or 15. The spinners come on, put the grips on the scoring. But I thought the Indian spinners or even the New Zealander spinners bowled well. But I thought Indian batters batted them a little bit more smarter than they did in the Ranchi game. So I thought India handled them really well. But yeah, I mean it's very unlikely that you get these kind of conditions in T20 format. The spinners do have a field day, and they'll be happy. They must have been very happy to get a pitch like that and to bowl like that. And as I said, Hardik Pandya was spot on with his bowling changes, bringing on Yuzvendra Chahal so early, bowling Deepak Hooda is 4 overs, and then again all the three spinners bowling really well. So I thought they actually summed up the conditions really well, and Hardik Pandya was spot on compared to the last game.
Yes, and credit to both captains in that regard. You saw Deepak Hooda bowl 4 overs. You saw Glenn Phillips bowl his quota out for New Zealand. So no shortage of spin. Wasim, while of course, like you said, you don't expect such surfaces. When you're as batters in T20 cricket, when you're used to different kind of surfaces, how do you recalibrate? Because if a surface does come up which turns the way this one did, how do you sort of reassess, and what do you do differently to at least make a challenging total?
Well, I thought after watching the third over, which Ajwinder Chahal bowled, I did feel that probably 130 would be a good score or even tough score to chase. So saying that, I thought New Zealand were 20 to probably 30 runs short. Had they reached probably 120, the kind of way they bowled in the second innings, I think India would have found themselves difficult to chase. And I thought they bowled really, really well, which they did even in the last game. Uh, but like I've said, once you play the few overs, you get used to the conditions, and you know how the pitch is behaving, whether it's spinning, whether it's coming on. Sometimes the ball holds up for even seamer. You suddenly calculate in your mind then what's a good score, and I'm sure that must have been communicated as soon as Yajundar Chahal bowled that third over. But like I said, probably 20 runs more, they would have been much more happier.
And from India's batters, of course, they had it easy in the sense that you knew you only need 100 runs, so you don't need to go all out. You can be conservative in your batting approach. But they did struggle to face spin. Is it more representative of batters generally in this era not being able to tackle a big degree of turn when pitches like this come their way, especially when you don't expect them?
Well, I understand because nowadays the batters usually find their way out by hitting the bowlers out of the attack. It's not what it used to be in our time, where you are trained or you are told to play out a spell. Even in the seaming conditions, nowadays a batter will probably go out and get himself out of the attack, the bowlers, by being more aggressive or more proactive. In our time, we were told to play out that spell, but T20 doesn't allow you to do that. I'm pretty much convinced that nowadays they don't. Even the Indian batters, I don't think they play the spin as good as the players in my time used to play. So that's definitely a concern. But it's just the upbringing, probably. The focus is more on fast bowling. The bowlers bowling 140, 145, and you don't get to play a really quality spin as well in the first class circuit as well. So that's probably the reason why the bowlers don't bowl in the same manner that they used to bowl in the 90s or even early 2000. That flight and guile is missing because the batters are more brave. They don't mind hitting the sixes even there's a long off and long on. So T20 have made them a lot braver. So that's probably the reason why that we feel that the batters don't tackle the spinners that really well.
Right. Thanks for breaking that down, Wasim. So a pretty interesting sort of T20 game that we couldn't have expected. Perhaps some of India's test team might have been well suited to play in this game. It would have given them some practice on tackling Nathan Lyon in that Border Gavaskar Trophy that's coming up. But let's build up to the final T20I, Wasim. Like the Sri Lanka series, the Sri Lanka T20Is, the New Zealand T20Is too will go into a decider. Ahmedabad hosting the final T20. We've seen so much spin. It's been the dominant theme in the first two games, Wasim. Do you expect more of that in Ahmedabad?
No, I feel that Ahmedabad will have a better batting conditions. I feel it will be a good game. I don't really feel that we'll get to see that much of a spin. I'll be surprised because generally we get to see a lot of good games in Ahmedabad, the big ground. So probably a score around 170, 180, or around 160 to 170, I would say. Uh, the kind of score I'm expecting, and the pitch to play a lot better compared to the last two games. So, hoping for a very good game, and the crowd. Obviously, it's going to be a big crowd in Ahmedabad. Hopefully, they'll get to see a very very good game, and hopefully, India win the series there.
Yeah, because India will have their streak on the line. Haven't lost T20I series at home since early 2019. If it is a high scorer, Wasim, it would mean good news for the top order. All of them are obviously looking to establish themselves in this T20I lineup. The likes of Ishan Kishan, Shubman Gill, Rahul Tripathi don't have runs to show so far in this series. What would you like them? What would their mindset? What should their mindset be going into this game as they hunt for those runs?
Well, I think they need to forget what happened in the last two games. It doesn't happen really often that you get pitches, back-to-back pitches like this, and I'm sure it won't be like that in the third ODI. Sorry, the third T20. So they just get these two games out of the way, get them out of the system. Probably they'll get one or maybe two practice sessions, and I'm sure they'll understand what kind of pitch they are going to play. And I'm sure they're far better in dealing those things. So get that out of the way, and then hopefully come out with a fresh mindset and be aggressive like they have been so far, and put their best foot forward for the third T20.
Right. Not going to bother with a prediction, Wasim, but I am going to hold you for an extra minute because before the senior men did a special job on Sunday in a tricky chase, the junior women did India proud. The first ever Women's Under 19 World Cup has gone India's way, which also means India are holders of Under 19 world titles at both the men's and the women's level. A proud moment for Indian cricket, Wasim.
Indeed, very proud moment, and a lot of young girls watching. They'll also feel very very proud, and a lot of girls will hopefully take up the sport because they'll be watching how these women have done that, beating New Zealand. They are the bogey team for the men's at least, but didn't the same thing for the women's. They've beaten New Zealand, they've beaten England, and somewhere the women's team, the senior women's team, have failed at times in crossing that final hurdle. But the junior team have done that and shown the way. So hopefully the senior team playing the T20 World Cup in a short while now. Hopefully they'll do the same when that World Cup happens. So wishing them all the best, and wonderful effort by the under 19 girls. It's super proud moment.
Absolutely. Perhaps both senior teams, men's and women's, should learn from the juniors because the juniors do tend to pick up these under 19 titles way more often than the seniors have over the past decade. Thank you, Wasim, as always. A lot of fun having being in your company. We will look forward to it in the final T20I, which is in a couple of days' time in Ahmedabad. Be sure to join us after that game on ESPN Cricket 4 T20 Timeout. That does it. Thank you.